So let's kind of do an like maybe a step-by-step kind of workflow, which we kind of did with what you mentioned, but maybe kind of in a quick kind of overview. Let's say now we have to add 1,000 silicone spatulas, right? That was the product. But yeah, of course, each seller to their
Yeah.
own products. So could you like walk us from the kind of first step? Now a seller is sitting there, like, boom, sales are going. I need 1,000 more silicone spatulas. Like, where would they go? What would they click? Maybe something like this would
Yeah.
be
So
useful. Hmm.
yeah. So like the invoice I just created. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
we sent the purchase order for those products, right?
Mhm.
So from here, what would happen is I've now received the order. So let's just kind of back up a workflow, right? So
Yeah.
we got the I need products. So I need to notify my supplier that I need 2,000 units of this product, and
Hmm.
he goes, okay, great. Here's the invoice, right?
Hmm.
So now that we've got the invoice here, I'm going to say this is going to be with this purchase order. So I'm going to insert this and hit continue. And now I've got my invoice sitting here. And below here, I got my line items. So remember, I ordered 2,000 units
Hmm.
and we got payment schedules here. So this is good to go. So I can update this invoice. So I've now saved this invoice. And now what happens is it automatically creates an order on this order table, right?
Hmm.
So I've got my order table here. I've got 2,000 units, unit price of $1.40. There are 40 units per case, and there's 50 cases. Okay. So now this product is in production. Okay. So let's just fast forward 3 weeks. Okay. And the supplier said, hey, Mark, in a week's time, this product's going to be ready. How do you want to ship this? So what we will do here, oop, let's go back. Yeah. So say, for example, I need to ship 200 quickly by air, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, I'm going to ship 200 and I'm going to hit update. Now you can see this little warning sign that happens here that, it's not quite matching up. So what I need to do is I need to add the other 1,800, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Kind of what I do I'll tell the guys what I do alternatively in Asana. And this is interesting because this specific part had many times confused me because what I do, I take a card, let's say 2,000
Uh-huh.
units, so I need to split my shipment. So I do 200. I copy the same card because the card contains the information previously added to that card, so I don't mismatch. I copy the card. I change
Uh-huh.
the number on the Asana main card to 1,800, and then I have the other under 200, and then I move it to I have little tabs and move it to shipped or something like that, and then I have to update some. It's not in front of me, but I'm kind of pulling from my memory. Yeah, and why it can create problems because again, maybe I sometimes forget one of the parts of, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean,
yeah.
it's funny. What's funny about what you're saying is that is the exact same thing that I was trying to do with Monday.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, funny.
Can definitely cause, I mean, I'm kind of doing that, so it can cause some, yeah, you can just, mm, what can I say? Like, can be disorganization there, disorganization in business. And for both
Yeah,
our
and
listeners,
also
yourself, it's not
yeah, and
that
also
good.
like a lot of time. Like you're spending a lot of time trying to do it, when you could be doing other things. And that's the other thing. Like this
Yeah,
stuff should just be quick and easy. It shouldn't require like time intensive work.
100%.
Which is exactly why I built it because I mean, at one point I don't know how I was doing this with like 180 SKUs, and I was just like I didn't even know where
It's
to
quite a
start.
lot. Quite a lot, man. Quite a lot.
Yeah. But anyway, so from here, what happens
Yeah.
is, you know, I want to ship this quickly, so I can go and just kind of move it into a new shipment plan. So
Okay.
it automatically kind of creates that new shipment plan, which is this one, and then I can move this into its own shipment plan. Or I can add it to an existing shipment plan. Because say I want to ship something quickly by air, it's going to be in its own shipment plan. But say I have a container that I want to fill with the other 1,800 units, I can put that into anything as well. I'm just going to add it into a new shipment plan.
And of
And
course,
then,
these kind of sizes, because like the product itself, the spatule, we also first have to add it to the system, right? Before we like once we have it, we'll then able to create the purchase order. But before it, we'll just have to add the name, the size of the boxes, and all that, which we get from our supplier, correct?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
Mhm.
I'll
Mhm.
just pop over here to
Yeah.
the catalog page. So here we have like a bulk upload. So on the bulk
Mhm.
upload, like you can add all your information about your SKUs, and you don't have to. I mean, it's quite an in-depth CSV, and I always tell our users like just start small, like put the name, the SKU, and whatever information that you have quickly, and then the next time you get a purchase order with the number of SKUs you have, then you just kind of start adding, these like little details about HS codes and boxes and items
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Um, and we'll kind of get into what we have on offer as well. But we can certainly help sellers kind of get this information because this is like the most time-consuming stuff. But once the information is in there,
Yeah.
then it's super easy.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So we're now going
So
back to the shipment we created. We gonna split the
yeah,
shipment with the, 200 units, 1,800, and kind of we're continuing from
yeah.
there.
Um, so yeah, we can see this is the 1,800 units. So
Hmm.
here we can just kind of rename this. Um, yeah, demo one.
Hmm.
Uh, so this is going to be ready in now. I can put
Hmm.
today's date, and it's going to be ready. Yeah, miracles happen in 2 weeks. It says coming from business address. It says coming from China. It's going to business address, going to the US, maybe a fulfillment center, something like that. And we can hit update. Um, and we can also send that off, right? So we can also, again, kind of coming full circle, we can send this off to our freight forwarder, right? So
And it will go to them. Which email will they receive it from? Like, let's say, mark@sellervue.com or Vova@sellervue.com, or you know what I mean? Like,
it would come from our domain.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
So,
That's one thing. That's one thing on our to-do list is custom domains and that kind of stuff. But
sorry.
just that's one thing on our roadmap is to add kind of custom domains for users to use. But for now, I think it comes from us.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Just
it's an editable message.
okay.
So you can change it. You can also change the subject line and all that.
Okay.
Um, this is demo two. Let's just and I don't know that, and we can update. Yeah, so now you got your shipment plans ready to go, and those are sent off, and you've all kind of organized your plans here as well. And then there's a lot of other information if you wanted to put inside here that you can add on this page as well. So now you have your shipment plan good to go. The items are shipped. You can view it in cards. You can view it any kind of way like that. There's archived shipments that sit there, and you can kind of see total quantities and cases and cubic meters and all that sitting up the top here. So some information sitting up here. And now what happens is, this boat is at sea, and it's, in transit. So I guess fast forward maybe a couple of weeks and you receive an invoice from your supplier saying that this shipment is getting ready to received, and you either need to pay the customs and duties or you need to pay your freight forwarder, right? So what you can do here is go ahead and grab your shipment or your shipment bill from them, and you can say it's a shipment, it's the shipment. And let's just say we're going to do this 200 units, which is the air freight. So you can insert that. I can either say shipping, or I can do customs only bill, or I can do a shippings and customs bill. So just say, for example, it's 600 to to ship, and 200 customs. It's just going to automatically, although there's only one in there, it's going to calculate and add those costs to the bill. And then all I got to do is hit update this invoice. I can hit close. I can come back to my orders, come back to my shipment plan, and we're kind of creating some more automations on this. But what you got to do is hit received, hit update, and that's been received. So now we can kind of come back to our order deck here. Let's see. We can come to our received orders, and we can see that out of the 2,000 units, I've received 200. And my inbound cost was $4. My factory cost was $1.25, and my total landed cost for this product was $5.25. So if I had a look at my cost history, I could see, that my previous bill for shipping was 49 cents, but because I had a fly in, it was $4. So it kind of tracks it at that granular level. And then you can kind of repeat the same process with the next shipment. So, you just do the same thing with this $1,800 shipment, or, say for example, if you needed to add more products into a shipment, you could just, if you had a different container and say these weren't in shipping, you could add all of these items to a shipment plan. So you'd be able to pack a lot of products into one shipment plan. And that's really it. I mean, it's just super simple, easy tool to use to manage your shipments, your costs, and where in the world your products are.
And Mark, to open a shipment, we need to go to Amazon, or is it integrated? So let's say we need to ship the 200 units, and let's say to USA, right? So usually, on Amazon, we go create a shipping kind of a plan, then we get the labels, and then we can then send them to our freight forwarder or something like that. So is it something that happens within the platform, or we have to? What's on this part specifically? When we need to ship, like we need to Amazon, say, FBA, say, so we get the stickers, I guess, in a form of
Yeah.
PDF. So then how does it work?
Yeah, so we're working on that integration
Mm,
with
nice.
Amazon, so that there'll be a lot more automations. But
Hmm.
like kind of like think about when you're using Asana, it's kind of an automated view of like Asana. What we wanted to do before using Amazon was what we wanted to do was reverse engineer the cost, because at the end of the day, what we wanted to know was the cost. Um, and the only way to get the cost accurate was to figure out how to do these split shipments. Because when you go into Amazon to make your shipment plan, all you're doing is telling Amazon that 200 units are coming. You're not telling Amazon that it's an order of 2,000
Yeah,
units.
yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You're only telling Amazon there's 200 units. So the issue with own is was going directly into Amazon is how do you tell Amazon that there are another 1800s which are part of that order. And that's like, I
Mm,
mean, I guess like how using Asana is that it becomes super messy, right? Because like I've ordered 2,000 units, but then all of a sudden I got like a line of 1,800 and I got a line of 200. And then as you start ordering different products and different SKUs and maybe another order on top of that, you're like, ooh, what was that 200 order associated with? And that's where, you know, it becomes quite messy and kind of uncontainable. So what we wanted to do with this version of the app was kind of reverse engineer it so that we had all the ducks in a row first, and then we would go integrated with Amazon. So our next plan, and for those that kind of get on board now, obviously be all grandfathered in. But our goal with Amazon would be able to say pick a shipment plan. Say we could pick this shipment plan, and we could automatically push this information into Amazon, and it would tell Amazon to create the labels and all that kind of stuff for us. So this would kind
yeah.
of be your nucleus. This would be your nucleus of the driver's seat, so to speak. and that would be able to then create all that information inside Amazon for you. But what we didn't want to happen is kind of the other way around, where you do it when you do it, and Amazon pushes the information here because just like Amazon does, you get half the information you need.
Mhm. So basically, we need to then again go to Amazon. We say create a shipment plan, 4 boxes, 50 units each, 200 units. I mean, or something along these lines. Um, then we get the labels, and then these labels we will input here inside SellerVue, right? Into our into the some a section, right? Once we get
Yeah.
the labels.
Yeah. So once you got the labels, you could attach it here.
hmm hmm This is a
Um,
letter that we're saying to sending to the freight forwarder, right? We're looking at now.
yeah. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
this is to the freight forwarder, or if it depends on when you're creating the labels. I mean, oftentimes, like the labels are created and sent to the supplier. It just really depends on everyone
Yeah,
has
yeah,
probably a unique setup with their supplier and
100%,
freight forwarder.
100%.
But it depends on how people are shipping as well, right? Because people are either might be using Amazon Global Logistics, or they might be using a freight forwarder. And that's one thing I always say to my users, and also with our private clients, is that to get multiple quotes, right? Because oftentimes when we're shipping stuff, we just kind of get stuck in ourselves, and we kind of just end up using the same forwarder that we've always used. But maybe we could get a better quote with just as good as a freight forwarder. It might be $500 less. So
100%.
that's something that we can do here, is that you can add multiple freight forwarders
Ah,
to your quote,
interesting.
so that you're sending off your pack list, and then you're going to get back um, some other things. So we have some pretty cool roadmap features coming soon, probably in the next couple of months as well, with that we'll be able to get automatic quotes. So once you've got your pack list here, you can request automatic quotes, and on the sidebar over here, you'll be able to see different freight forwarders and their rate options. So we've got some pretty cool things in the pipeline. But my goal, I guess, with building SellerVue was accuracy, right? So I wanted to make sure everything was accurate. I wanted to make sure all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted, and that it gave you the view that you need in order to understand how profitable you are in your business, and all this whole shipping flow and purchase order flow. Kind of makes that kind of work, at 100% level, because you're tracking, cubic meters, you're tracking tariffs, and everything's kind of be calculated for you. So it's pretty exciting, because this is kind of where we're going to start doing all the integrations and kind of all the automations. So, our users that are on board now obviously love the tool for what it is right now, because it saves them hours on spreadsheets, or other band-aid tools like Asana or Monday. But as we kind of get more into our development cycle with the integrations, it's going to be a lot more quicker and a lot more helpful, even quicker than sellers are using it now.
Man. Yeah, hope all goes well for you. And wanted to ask you, man, like maybe you get some kind of frequently asked questions about SellerVue from sellers. Like, what do you? I've asked a few kind of on the way, kind of that popped up to me as a seller, but I'm sure I've missed something. And what else comes up that people are like maybe continuously asking, and maybe you could share, so then our listeners will kind of yeah, will
Yeah.
help them.
So I guess the biggest one that we get is like, who should use SellerVue, right? And I love this question, because I just had a conversation with a company that was valued at 500 million. Um,
Oh.
and they what do they sell? They sell clothing, and they have a full accounts department, accounting department that's tracking shipments and costs and all this kind of stuff. And I was able to, and this company had th thousands and thousands of SKUs. And I was able to figure out their costs from one purchase order, a shipment plan, a shipping bill, and a customs bill in less than 5 minutes. And they have an entire team managing this stuff. And you saw how easy it was to use. I mean, you click here, boom, you know your costs, you know where everything is. So they were kind of blown away. But then on the flip side, I had a seller that has one SKU, signed up. I had a conversation with him, and he obviously, I think, must have had probably was listening to a podcast. Maybe he was listening to you, maybe talking, figuring it out, and he wanted to start off on the right foot, and he's using it. So like we have a
Yeah.
big kind of you know yeah, depending on the users that are using it, whether you're just starting out or you're mid-range or, I mean, $500 million company, at the end of the day, what you want to know is you want to know what it costs to receive your product. You want to understand what it costs now. You want to understand what it cost the shipment before and the shipment before that. You also want to have a paper trail of information that you can go,
Mm.
hey, I want to know, say, for example, this product what this invoice, so I can come to here and go, you know what, like something doesn't quite make sense in my costs. I can come over here and go, this is the one I have questions about, and I can click through and go, oh, okay, this was this invoice, this was this line item. Oh, you know what, that makes sense. And I can keep kind of going through and kind of piecing it all together. But you can't do that with spreadsheets, right? Because it's just all over the place.
That's true.
So kind of answer your question, whether you're just starting out or you have an established business, this is just going to help kind of mitigate your time and kind of get you the answers that you need kind of quickly to make decisions.
Nice, man. And then on the technical part, when sellers, as you mentioned, sellers are either smaller sellers, beginners that are starting out and they want to do it right, which is always a good idea. And then maybe even a bigger business or a huge business like the $500 million company that came, they were a little bit, kind of disorganized in their own way. They were kind of selling a lot, but still they needed more organization and you could help them. And that's pretty awesome. And then once people logged in and they're inside, maybe they're figuring out. Hopefully, this tutorial will be useful for them because, again, they might be after watching this, like, they'll know what to do, but still, maybe some technical questions come up too.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we kind of, again, my goal is to help sellers, right? So I've been there, been in the trenches, just like every other seller. So what we do is we have an onboarding process. So, we will help sellers, get all the information that they need into the software to begin with. And once it's in there, we will kind of walk them through all the technical sides of things. But yeah, as you can see, I mean, it's really easy to use. And I always talk to my developers. I'm like, it's so easy to use. Sometimes I think like maybe is it too easy to use? I don't know.
Nice, man. That's good. That's good. Well, sellers love easy to use stuff, and anyone, I guess, not only sellers, just people. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So
okay.
I mean, I guess the point of the app is like I would call it like a working app, right? There's often there's other tools like your data analytics tool and whatever tool you're looking to see your orders and how profitable you are.
Yeah.
This is working on making sure that everything is in alignment because I also just think about like your profitability, right? The biggest area that you have room for improvement is your supply chain. So from your supplier to your warehouse. And this is the biggest gray area that I find most sellers have is that they don't quite know what it costs to get that product and what are the areas that you can improve. Can I get a better rate on my supplier? Can I get a better shipping quote? Are my import tariffs correct? Can I get maybe there's a quick change I can make on my HS code, or is that HS code that my freight for put in is that correct? So that's the things that we can help with as well to just make sure that one, the system is set up right, and two, are you as profitable as possible?
Okay, man, thanks for answering. And also, at some point, we have seen that we can send to a 3PL warehouse, which is like a warehouse outside of Amazon. Do we have similar communication with them inside the platform too? Like similar to how we could send an email to the freight forwarder from within the platform and say we're now sending, these 200 units are actually going to that warehouse. So maybe priorly to
Yeah.
sending, we need to ask them, is there space for us or something like that? So,
Yeah. So, I mean, you'll just kind of come back to your shipment plan, come back over here, and you're ready to send whatever you want to send it over to them. Say, I'm sending over whatever I'm sending over 200 units.
hmm
So it customizes this message as well.
uh-huh.
You know, you can
I
obviously
see.
edit the subject line. You can do whatever, and that automatically attaches like a CSV for you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, pretty awesome, man. So also I'll tell our sellers, like listeners, viewers, if any more questions come up, please ask them in the comments. We'll try to answer. Like once comments come, maybe we missed something. That'll be nice. Mark, one more question. Is there something I should have asked you before we kind of jump into the pricing? Maybe those who are watching now, they'll be curious how much it is and what it costs them to kind of try and use that. But maybe before that, it was there any question I should have asked you that kind of I did not? You actually mentioned also interestingly why you've built it, so kind of that could have been a good question to ask, but you did say that. But then anything else that maybe I should have asked you and I still have not about the platform, about the way it works, maybe something along these lines. Do you feel like
I mean,
maybe?
I think we got most of it. But I'm sure other questions will pop up
All right.
regarding the platform. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, I built this for myself, right?
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
Amazon seller. Like I
Yeah.
said before, I've been selling since 2012. Um, days when it was super easy, and nowadays where it's become a real business. Back in the day, yeah, I'd say 12 years ago, margins were plentiful, right? You didn't have to worry about margins. But now, every dollar counts, and if you can keep it and you cannot give it away, I highly recommend keeping as much profit as possible.